Okay, so it's Christmas time.
Aye.
It's Christmas time. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Anyway, the Christmas market in Strasbourg is open.
Putain. Non, maman. Oh, mon Dieu. Mon Dieu. Putain. Qu'est-ce qui se passe?
Papa. Oh les gars frère, sur la vie de ma mère. Putain.
Là il y a une femme qui est passée.
Kardeşim bir duman su kaldı diye.
Bayağı ciddi ya.
C'est quoi cette boîte de con en face? Hein? C'est cette boîte de con qui est en face là-bas.
Verza.
Mais oui, mais non, mais faites autre chose. Vous avez autre chose à faire là.
Monsieur, demi-tour. Allez, hop. Allez, c'est parti.
Bon, on est deux là, on peut aussi se faire comme je commençais à jouer si vous voulez. Hein.
Oh, arrêtez.
Bah non, mais c'est bon. Là, c'est bon là, laissez-nous travailler maintenant. Laissez-nous travailler, ok?
On a reculé suffisamment là.
C'est bon là, on est à 15 mètres là.
Ouais, bah maintenant vous restez là.
Allez faire votre travail.
The city of Strasbourg in eastern France is the scene of a major manhunt. About 600 police officers and soldiers are searching for the gunman who killed at least 2 people and injured a dozen others. The shooting happened near the city's world-famous Christmas market, visited by locals and tourists from all over the region.
When I turned the corner, I immediately realized how grave the situation was. There was this man on the ground, bleeding from the head with the apparent gunshot wound. There was his wife next to him, crying out for help.
The suspected gunman is after exchanging fire with soldiers and armed police. He is believed to be injured. Police have identified the suspect as a 29-year-old extremist with a long criminal record. That he was known to them as a possible threat. Freelance reporter Catherine Field is tracking the list on the manhunt, and she joins us now from Paris. So, Catherine, what are police and French prosecutors saying about the suspect?
Natasha, they are describing him as a 29-year-old Strasbourg local. He was born in that town. He has a long criminal record, 27 convictions. He has served prison time in Switzerland, Germany, and in France. Most of those convictions were for robbery, some for violence, some for extortion. They say he arrived at the Strasbourg Christmas market just before 8 p.m. last night. He started shooting at passers-by. He then ran off. As he ran off, he then stabbed some people. He was carrying several knives, and then he ran again away and was shooting at more people. Then, at some stage in all this, the prosecutor said that he shouted, "Allahu Akbar, God is great." He left the scene, he got into a taxi and got the taxi driver to drive him to a suburb south of Strasbourg. And there he seems to have just gone around. And police say that he'd been on their radar, they'd been to his apartment early on Tuesday morning in connection with another offence that he's alleged committed. And it was there that they found in his apartment a grenade, a gun, and some knives, including hunting knives. So at the moment, they still don't know where he is. They are concerned, however, that he may have already left the country and may have slipped into Germany. Natasha?
Catherine, this isn't the first time European authorities have had to deal with a situation like this. In France, we of course had those horrible series of terror attacks in November of 2015. Then of course it reminds us of the Brussels attack where a number of suspects had gone into various locations. Give us in a sense of proportion how big or how intense is the manhunt in Strasbourg?
It's very intense, Natasha, because the Strasbourg Christmas market is the biggest in France, and it's also the oldest. It's been there a year since about 1570, so they're very attached to this. There was enormous security there. The budget for security market is around €1 million each year, which is a huge sum for a Christmas market for only a couple of weeks. So they're very attached to that. At the moment, the police say there are about 720 police, gendarme, and military personnel searching the area for this alleged gunman. Now, you quite rightly say we've seen this all before in Germany. That's the big question, that this man was known to police, he was known to be a security threat. He'd been on the radar since 2016 as someone who had radical tendencies. He'd mixed with extremists, he'd been in prison. The question again comes down to it. Why was he allowed to be wandering around Strasbourg with so much weaponry? Why did the police go in his apartment in the early morning? Why they go, say, in the middle of the night when they thought he might be there? He might not have been able to escape from them yesterday morning. So a lot of these questions, but again, Natasha, the police are saying, look, we have a lot of people on our raid who might be a threat, but we just don't have manpower to track every single one of them.
Well, it seems I was witness to apparently the first incident that happened, and what happened is I heard two distinct noises, but I took them to be firecrackers. But when I turned around the corner, I did see one person on the ground with an apparent headshot wound, at least one, and his wife standing close by, is a tourist from Thailand, about in his 30s, and we tried our best to resuscitate him. We applied CPR, we dragged him into a restaurant close by. I had help with some medical people from Germany, but it took more than 45 minutes for an ambulance to appear. Maybe the ambulance's wave blocked as well because of security precautions.
And how is the man? Were you able to resuscitate him?
After 45 minutes, we were told over the phone by an emergency doctor that any further efforts would be futile. He's still here in this restaurant, but we have abandoned all for him. And right now the authorities are carrying on the investigation.
So just to be clear, you have the body of someone who's been killed this evening in a restaurant, and the authorities are not coming to collect that body or to treat it?
Well, yes, no, they're present and they're doing everything they have to do. Of course, this is being treated, I guess, as a crime scene, therefore they won't go ahead and move him until they have an exact picture of the situation.
Well, this is an absolutely terrible development, both for the man who's lost his life and those of you who've been caught up in this.
His wife is also still here, and shocked, but well unhurt.
Hello everyone, so we're here at the European Parliament press room in Strasbourg. There's been a shooting in the city centre. The European Parliament has been put on lockdown, so everyone who's here at the moment cannot leave. The press room here, as you can see, is filled, kind of half filled with journalists who had been working here late into the evening on reports, but by the looks of it we could be here for a lot longer.
Hours, yeah. So at least we're told that we're not allowed to leave for half of the night, basically. According to Reuters, there has been 1 dead and 3 wounded, a lot of military on the streets as well, and in front of the parliament.
Yeah, we'll keep you up to date with developing news live here from the European Parliament in Strasbourg.
And I was just on my way to dinner with colleagues when I heard two bangs that I initially mistook for firecrackers or something. So I didn't realize at first what all the commotion was about. I did see people running, but I thought they were just panicking in some general way. But then I turned around the corner and immediately saw a man lying there with an apparent gunshot wound to his head.
But he was still alive.
He was in a state that, could have been alive or dead. I can't confirm. We started resuscitation efforts. We started with CPR first outside there, then we took him into a restaurant that was close by. Kept going at it for 45 minutes. I had two ladies from Germany there who were apparently with medical knowledge, so doctors or nurses who helped, but there was no ambulance coming. Apparently the whole place was sealed off in a way that not even ambulance services were.
France's President Emmanuel Macron held a crisis meeting in Paris, later tweeting, "The whole nation stands in solidarity with Strasbourg, our victims and their families." The French Interior Minister, who had rushed to Strasbourg, said that the gunman was known to police.
Ici à Strasbourg, à partir de 19h50.
At 7:50 p.m, a man killed 3 people and wounded many others. Soldiers used their weapons. He was confronted twice by our anti-terror forces. The hunt continues. He's well known to the police. 350 people are mobilized to find him.
The French government have placed the country on a heightened state of alert and tightened borders. While people in Strasbourg try to come to terms with what has happened in their city, their hope is that the police will find the gunman soon.
Police are closing in on the man they believe is behind a deadly shooting at a popular Christmas market in France. 2 people were killed and 12 others injured after the gunman opened fire in Strasbourg on the border with Germany. The suspect is a 29-year-old with an extensive criminal history who was monitored as a suspected religious radical. It comes amid witness reports he shouted Allahu Akbar during the shooting spree. The attack is a new blow to France, which saw a wave of Islamic extremist killings in 2015 and also 2016.